Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's webinar. We will be starting in 30 seconds from now, and people are still joining in. We are live on Facebook, and please share this link to all your friends and colleagues and request them to join. This is going to be a really unique seminar, a unique webinar. We'll be discussing a lot of very, very important, valuable things today, right? So officially we are starting now, and we intend to finish in the next 1 hour. So, gentlemen and ladies, a warm welcome to you from the Naval Connection and UNNIC LNG Solutions. So, welcome to this very insightful webinar, which is called Green Financing the Maritime Transition. This is brought to you by UNNIC LNG Solutions and curated by TNC Socials. Just to give you a brief on what TNC Socials do, TNC Socials is the media division for the Naval Connection, and we handle the full out-and-out social media management and curation for shipping companies, unions, associations, and a lot of startups. So, and we also digitally promote these companies to enhance their visibility on the social stage. So, if you're looking to promote yourselves and your companies, please do get in touch with us at TNC Socials. So now in the next 1 hour, we will be talking literally on the green financing. My name is Captain Shoukat Mukherjee, and I'm honored to moderate this conversation today because what we're about to discuss today is not just another session on decarbonization or regulatory compliances. We see in today's world, almost every day we are having a webinar or a seminar on CII and carbon captures and decarbonization. So this is going to be a really, really unique one, a little bit different, tad different from what we normally hear about on stage. In fact, this is a topic that is rarely addressed in the depth in most maritime webinars, and that's why we got a lot of interest in this. This holds the power to transform the very economics of shipping, So we will delve into this topic from now, and there are two prolific speakers. Today, we are bringing to the forefront a very critical but under-discussed enabler. That's the green financing. We frequently speak about loans with a green tag, green financing. It's about changing mindsets where sustainability unlocks access to better capital, lower interest rates, carbon credits, and the future-ready investments. So I don't think many of us have delved very deep into this green financing sectors. Today, we will discuss what makes this session unique, and we are not only looking at the green finance from a compliance angle, but as a strategic lever for growth. So for ship owners, this could mean access to funding for dual fuel vessels, LNG retrofits, new builds, digital optimization tools. For new entrepreneurs and maritime startups, this could open doors to climate-aligned investments, green bonds, venture capitals, and that's increasingly looking at new positive shipping solutions, right? So, and for trade charterers, trade makers and charterers, understanding the green finance means understanding how vessel ratings, how to optimize fuel types, efficiency data, emission data which could directly impact freight rates, access to cargo, and trade preferences, right? So in a world we feel which is rapidly changing and transitioning, green financing is the bridge between aspiration and execution. And today we'll explore how we, each individual as a part of an industry, we can walk that bridge confidently. So stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a very valuable session because by the end of this session, you may walk away not with just learnings and knowledge. We will walk away perhaps even with a new direction to fund our new move in the maritime, our new ventures, right? So we have very two great speakers, young speakers, both engineers, and I'll give you basically a little bit of short introduction to uh, Mr. Manoj Chaudhari. First, I introduced Manoj. He's the founder and CEO of UNNIC LNG Solutions and consultancy company, who is on a mission to redefine the future of energy in maritime and LNG infrastructure by strategic solutions, right? So, on the work front, Manoj started his career in Shipping Corporation of India in 2005 as a fifth engineer, got selected in the SCI LNG consortium in 2008. Since then, he's been sailing on LNG vessels right from trainee engineer to chief engineer. He's only done LNG vessels. So a big round of applause I think we should give to Manoj. It's a lot of time spent on gas. He moved on from SCI in 2021, joined BW LNG till 2023. Thereafter, he joined Synergy in 2024. He was there as TSI managing LPG tankers in Chennai, and then he shifted base to Mumbai and joined the Narvik Marine Services as TSI managing VLGC and VLCC tanker. Manoj has over 16 years experience in LNG operations and handling, and founded the UNNIC LNG Solutions Company, a startup to catalyze the energy transition movement. I like these words, catalyzing the energy transition movement. And he plays a very important part in making our planet cleaner and greener. So we will come back to Manoj later during the day, later part of the presentation. Today, in this webinar, we'll also be discussing onboard carbon capture systems, technology implementation, and maritime decarbonization. So we have another speaker. We'll explore how these cutting-edge systems can capture CO2 directly from ship exhausts, the technical requirements for installation, and the pathway to making maritime industry a carbon neutral industry. And for this, we have our first speaker of the day, who is Mr. Amratlal Panwar. Amrat started his sailing career in 2006 with fleet management, and then moved on to Synergy also. And since then, as from third engineer, he has been experimenting, and he's a gas specialist, and he's also consulting internal auditor. He moved ashore working as technical superintendent with Goodwood and Cryos Ship Management Private Limited. In 2024, became training manager with Marshall Ship Management. And today, he's a gas consultant specializing in LPG operations. He's also an internal auditor, and also lead an internal auditors in IMS, Integrated Management Systems, ISM, ISPS, and MLC. He spreads awareness on green technologies and decarbonization of the maritime industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together virtually and give both Manoj and Amrat a very, very big hand. Amrat, I will let people joining in, and we're getting a constant flow of people joining in. We'll also live on our TNC vlogs channel. And as we go into the seminar, I'll invite Amratlal to share his views on the carbon capture. Amrat, all yours.
Thank you, Captain Shoukat, for your very nice and good introduction. And good morning, good afternoon to everyone, to all the delegates, industry stakeholders, to my friends and colleagues who have joined this webinar. So the idea of this webinar is to make the industry aware of the potential technologies what are available in the market. So in this webinar, we will more talk about the onboard carbon capture. And I'll also tell you the reason why we have taken this topic especially for this webinar. So let me share my screen. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, please go ahead. Perfect.
Okay. So the potential of onboard carbon capture in maritime industry. So why we are talking about the carbon capture today? Okay. So the technology now which is available in the market, so this fits right into the existing ships. No other technology which is available which talks about the existing ships. All talks about all the technology which is there in the market. It talks about the vessels right at the new building stage. Then what about the existing vessels? Where do they go? So this is the right solution for them. So let us dive into this topic of onboard carbon capture in maritime industry. So the stepwise process of the onboard carbon capture value chain. So now coming to this, what is the value chain? If you look at the picture, right from the facilities where the CO2 is emitted and right to the disposal of the CO2, the complete chain is called as onboard carbon capture value chain. Now, this is more prominent in the land-based or shore industries. And we are trying to figure out how the maritime industry will fit into this. We have the IMO is making a lot of efforts in reducing the greenhouse gas emissions from the vessel. So if we people who are from the maritime industry and have that background, they might be knowing that the decarbonization of the shipping is the hot cake now. Everyone is talking about the decarbonization of shipping, right from SEAM Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, till the CII, and now the onboard carbon capture. So the aim of the industry or the regulatory framework is to make the cleaner and greener seas. So technical feasibility and testing. So when we talk about the onboard carbon capture system, and from the ship owner's point of view and from the stakeholders' point of view, the technical feasibility and testing they have to consider. Studies have revealed that the safe application, the system is for safe, it can be used safely on the ships, but further development and optimization is required. The key factors affecting the feasibility, it includes the ship size, operational profile, trading pattern, power and heat production capacity. And OCCS, basically the onboard carbon capture system, is a ready approach, and it could reduce cost for future onboard carbon capture retrofits right at the new building stages. Commercial competitiveness. So before I go on the second topic, I have a small QR code right on the screen. So the person who are more interested, they can scan this QR code and they can see a video of the first carbon capture solution which has been installed on board a tankers. So talking about the commercial part, the application and uptake on the relevant cost elements, regulatory landscapes and competition, the onboard carbon capture may be commercially attractive if the capture rates are very high. What I mean by capture rate is that when you install this onboard carbon capture system on board, how much CO2 has been extracted from your exhaust. If the extraction is very less, then commercially it is not viable. Further, low fuel penalties. Again, the fuel penalties here, I mean that by installing this equipment, you will be consuming extra fuel. That we call it as a fuel penalty. So that also we have to consider when we are installing or retrofitting this onboard carbon capture system on board. Then regulatory approval. The system is still under the process of optimization and development, and there are some pilot projects which are being installed on board and under the testing phase. Now the ship owners are in a very dicey situation because no regulatory framework covers the onboard carbon capture system. They only covers like you have to reduce the carbon emission from your ship. Now when there is a technology available so that the CO2 is not been emitted into the atmosphere, but rather it has been stored on board, but still no framework is addressing to this. So the owners are a little bit reluctant whether to go for this technology or not. Further, going to the connection to the carbon capture, utilization and storage value chain. The shore-based industry is much more proactive towards the onboard carbon capture system. They have installed this and they have captured the CO2 and also they are offloading to the CO2 reception facility. But as a maritime industry, we are not yet prepared for this. So what is the option? The option is that we should collaborate with the offshore facility CCUs. We should try to build a network of the stakeholders where they can come together at a common stage on a common platform and propose the regulatory framework to the administration where infrastructure of this onboard carbon capture can be developed. Going to the next slide. So the industry is asking key questions about this. If onboard carbon capture system is a potential decarbonization solution, then will it be accepted by the future emission related regulations? And under which terms and conditions? How and where can the captured CO be disposed of? And how will this be handled in a full value chain perspective? Is onboard carbon capture a technically and economically feasible option? So to answer this, let us take discuss about one case where a Norwegian company, they are operating since 2007, and they have achieved basically the storage of CO2 from 1996, and they have stored up to 7 million tons up to 2022. So the capturing of CO2 from the exhaust energy is not a new technology. It is right since 1996. The only thing is that now, since we are speaking about the decarbonization of maritime industry, it has come into picture. And why it is gaining popularity? Because it is covering the existing vessels which are in the market. Then onboard carbon capture's role. So an alternate to onboard carbon capture is that either to use a complete carbon neutral fuel on the ship. But is this fuel readily available in the market? So that is where the hindrance is. And that is why, again, the onboard carbon capture proves to be a feasible technology to be incorporated into the vessels on board. Again, I have a QR code. So there has been a few vessels which have been developed and designed to carry the liquefied CO2 from the mother vessel, and they're acting as a feeder vessel. And these vessels, they are transporting the liquid CO2 to a shore reception facility. Then value chain development. So let us understand how does this work. So basically 5 steps are involved in this. The first, you install an onboard carbon capture system on board. Then you have onboard storage, where a pressurized vessel or a tank which is specifically designed to store the liquid CO2 on board the vessel is been kept as a reservoir. Then step 3, once your tanks are full, you can offload it to your feeder vessel or to any shore reception facility where the facility is provided to offload this. Then the transportation. Once you are capturing the CO2 on board, of course, till you reach a reception facility, you have to transport this CO2. Permanent storage or utilization. Further, the place or the location or the facility where you will dispose this, that should be available. And the permanent storage, as of today, it has been discussed that they will be storing this this liquefied CO2 under the land. So if you see a picture on which is displayed on the screen, it is a very simplified picture, and you can see that the vessels which are, I'll just move my cursor around. So this is the vessel from which the CO2 has been absorbed from the exhaust energy, and they have stored it on the vessel, and then it is disposing to a feeder vessel. Then this feeder vessel is coming here. Either it is giving to the shore reception facility, or it can also straight away inject into the underground storage. So this is a very simple system. Speaking in a very nutshell, this is how the onboard carbon capture system works. This is onboard simplified illustration that this is the engine where the exhaust energy is going into the exhaust, but the exhaust is routed through this carbon capture system where the carbon is, or basically CO2 has been extracted from the exhaust. It has been liquefied and it has been stored in this onboard storage. And the exhaust which is leaving from this funnel is completely not completely carbon free. It is carbon free because the efficiency of the carbon capture system, they claims to be 70 to 85%. So again, the system is not capable of extracting 100% CO2 from the exhaust energy. So let us talk about the status of carbon storage projects. So by April 2024, 35 carbon storage projects were in operation worldwide with a storage capacity of 37 million tons per annum. And most of them are related to natural gas processing and enhanced oil recovery. Okay, so again here, most of these OCCs are used on a land-based industry, mostly in the oil and gas field. But maritime industry is still yet to achieve this. So between now and 2050, so they have forecasted that the carbon storage capacity must be more than 100 times higher than the projected capacity of CO2 storage. And I think this is the gap which we have to fill in. And the industry aims to reach net zero emissions by the mid-century, 2050. But the facilities are not yet available. So there is a huge gap. And in coming decades, there may be a drastic change in the shipping industry from the decarbonization point of view. So stakeholders collaboration in closed value chains. So let us discuss how the stakeholders can collaborate. So closed value chain partnerships. So the cost benefit sharing. The stakeholders can collaborate on CO2 capture, transport, and storage cost. They can have a discussion with the companies who are providing these solutions as a proactive approach towards the decarbonization of their fleet or their vessels. Then risk mitigation, it creates a stable demand, reduces market and policy uncertainties. Green corridors developing, coordinating supply demand development for shipping decarbonization. And coming to the CCU project integration strategy. So the infrastructure connection should be there. So the stakeholders should engage themselves with existing CCU developments to link their ships to plant infrastructure. Technical alignment. They should identify optimal locations, specification, and contractual agreements. Market developments. The stakeholders should be aware of the market developments. They should raise awareness of maritime CO2 volumes and revenue opportunities. And the first mover support framework is like a proactive approach. Again, you're volunteering yourself towards the decarbonization of shipping. So leadership role, you can establish a cross value chain partnership and competitive positioning. Risk management, the higher cost and the technological barriers requires public support. Policy tools need fundings. So the stakeholders, of course, they will be requiring funding, subsidies, guarantees, and on top of that, most important, the regulatory framework. Then balancing the carbon capture versus the fuel penalty. So from this graph, we will try to understand that how does a onboard carbon capture system reduces the cost or proves to be a cost effective for the stakeholders. So in this case, if you are burning the basic fossil fuel, you will be emitting, say for an example, 5,000 metric ton of CO2. If you're installing the onboard carbon capture, then there will be extra penalty, fuel penalty. That means we have to burn extra fuel to extract the CO2 from the exhaust. So say we are burning an extra fuel, so it comes to about 6,000. Now, since you have installed the onboard carbon capture, straight away, you have reduced this CO2 emission into the atmosphere. So now you are emitting only 2,000 metric ton of CO2. Rest, the 4,000 of CO2 is being stored in your storage on board. So when we talk about the regulatory framework, the EU ETS is the only framework in present which is talking about this. So if your vessel is going into any of the European ports, European Union ports, so they are charging for the per ton of CO2 which has been emitted into their atmosphere. And the rate is, or the trade rate is roughly around 80 to 100 euros per ton of CO2. So just imagine if 4,000 CO2 you are able to save from emitting from the atmosphere. So 4,000 into 80 euros, that much amount the owner is able to save. Plus, there are also talks going on that the companies or the stakeholders who are volunteering for this, they might get a benefit from this. Instead of paying the carbon, they might get a carbon credit as well, which can be used for their other fleet vessels. Then the cost factor, capital cost, the capex, it includes the cost of the capture unit, liquefaction, storage tanks, outfitting, piping, design, and installation. So the stakeholders, when they are going for this project, they have to consider the capital cost. The fuel penalty, as I already said, the extra fuel which will be consumed to absorb the CO2 from the exhaust, it is somewhere around 10 to 40%. Again, depending on what kind of fuel the vessel is using. The more carbon neutral fuel the vessel is using, the lesser the size of this OCC. Operating cost, again, once a system is installed on board, the maintenance and replacements of the solvents used in capturing process is expected. So that has to be considered. Loss of cargo carrying capacity, because we need a space to install these units. So there are very good chance that the cargo carrying capacity may be reduced. So again, this is the one factor where the stakeholders should consider. Then the carbon discharge cost. So the whole idea is installing the carbon capture system on board is to reduce the carbon emission into the maritime industry and reduce the cost or reduce the penalty. But again, is this project offsetting this cost? If it is, then yes, it is go ahead project for all the stakeholders in the maritime industry. Coming to the regulatory status, IMO has not yet incorporated any project like this into their regulatory framework. But now, yes, they are talking about the greenhouse gas emission and they are trying to make a part of this. Again, in MEPC 83, the two-tier GFI link pricing system IMO has introduced, where they are more talking about the greenhouse gas fuel. And what is the intensity of this fuel towards the greenhouse gas? And based on that, the pricing system has been made. The EU ETS, it includes a temporary exemption of emissions, again, temporary, not a permanent, that are verified as a captured and transported for permanent storage to a facility having a permit under the CCS directive. Fuel EU Maritime, it does not currently allow deducting the captured carbon from the ships when calculating the greenhouse gas intensity. The regulation includes a provision to review the new technologies by 31st December 2027. So again, the stakeholders are still worried whether we should go ahead and invest in this, because right now, no regulatory framework is addressing into this. But yes, the stakeholders can take a proactive approach. As I said, they can collaborate with the industry who are pioneer in designing this onboard carbon capture system, and on a voluntary basis, they can be a part of the carbon capture solution system value chain. So that is all about the onboard carbon capture system onboard. So I thank you everyone for your kind attention. So yes, Captain Shoukat, so I have completed my, and the stage is over to you.
Well, this is only a virtual stage. Thank you, Amratlal. And thank you for this extremely valuable session. And we learned a lot. If you can stop sharing your screen, I will want to invite Manoj for this. We have already introduced Manoj and Manoj Chaudhari as the Chief Engineer, par excellence, and having spent his total career at sea on the LNG and gas ships. So Manoj is an expert on LNG and gas green financing. Yes, Manoj, if you can kindly share your screen and full screen, and over to you for the next 15 minutes, and then we can go on for the discussion with the people who joined us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live on YouTube. Please share this link with all your friends and colleagues and ask them to join this valuable session. In the next 15 minutes, we are going to discuss a lot of unique kind of things which I don't think has been greatly discussed in our maritime industry so far. So over to Manoj.
Thank you, Captain Shoukat, for a warm introduction and insight of the topic. I would also like to thank Amratlal for his great insight on carbon capture. So we will move on to the next topic, green financing for maritime transition. The global maritime sector is facing immense pressure of becoming cleaner and reduces environmental impact. But this transition will require trillions of dollars of money by 2050. What is green finance? Green finance is the money specifically raised for the environmental project, so that they can reduce the environmental impact. In maritime sector, the funding will be required for the vessels as well as ports.
Manoj,
Yeah,
are you changing the slide?
yeah, I changed the slide.
Okay, so if you can just do a full screen once again.
Yeah. So we will deep dive into today we will deep dive into the below topics. Why maritime needs green money, how much investment is required, and we will review what are the financial tools available in the market. We will talk about the green bond principle and its framework and the real case studies. So why maritime needs green money? So shipping accounts for the 3% of the GHG emission worldwide. If we consider shipping as one of the country, it will be the 6th largest emitter in the world. And this is going to increase as the global trades are increasing. Vulnerable infrastructures. The ports near the coastal areas are highly vulnerable due to the climate change impact. That is rising seawater level, extreme weather events. They need significant investment to become resilient. The last one is global regulatory pressure. The IMO has set ambitious target of 20 to 30% reduction in GHG emissions by 2030, 7 to 80% reduction by 2040, and net zero by 2050. So this required a lot of transition to the new energy sources. So how much money is required? So it is estimated to be approximately 1 to 1.9 trillion dollars are required for this decarbonization. This investment will be going for both vessels as well as the land-based infrastructure. The land-based infrastructure will require almost 87% of this money. Why? Because alternate fuel production, storage, bunker facility will require a lot of money. And the sustainable port developments, like the supplying of the shore power to the vessel which are berthing. The digitalization of the ports to improve on the efficiency will require a lot of investment. So for the shipping side, we can consider they can go for new green vessels, like they can order new ship builds which can run on clean fuels like ammonia, green methanol, LNG, hydrogen. Then the existing ship can also go for retrofitting with energy saving devices like Mavis duct, renewable energies like solar power, windmills, then advanced hull coatings are there in the market. Then finally, the complex fuel conversions. Annual investment for the fleet decarbonization is estimated to be USD 8 to $28 billion by 2050. For in port side, we can go for onshore power supply, installing the electrical connection for the ships. When the ships comes to the berth, we can shore can give the power to the ship so that vessel can stop their generator, which will reduce the CO2 emission as well as reduce the noise, which is very dangerous for the maritime organisms. The port of Seattle, which is estimated that approximately 200 to 450 million dollars by 2050. Then there should be development of the bunkering facilities. There should be development for storage tanks. Then pipelines, refueling equipments for the ammonia, methanol, hydrogen. Then finally the green fuel productions. This will require massive amount of money. This is estimated to be $1 trillion by 2050 for the production of green ammonia alone. So what are the ways to raise this money? The first one is green bonds. These are the debt instrument. The funds are exclusively raised for the financial project which have the clear environmental benefits. You can take the example of Musk, which has raised 500 million euros for this green bond to finance their methanol fuel container vessels. They have ordered the fleets of methanol fuel container vessels. Next one is green and sustainably linked loan. The loans which are for the green projects can be linked to the sustainability targets. If the targets are met, interest rate can be decreased. And this will be as an incentive to the investor. Then transition finance. The transition finance is used for the high emission companies. They build long-term strategies. Take the example of NYK Line. They have issued the transition bond to fund the LNG fuel vessels as a step toward the decarbonization. Then final one is the blended finance. Strategically combining public and philanthropic funds with the private investment to improve upon the risk to return ratio. So here are the types of green bonds available. The standard green use of proceed bonds, then green revenue bonds, green project bond, then secured green bonds. So I will deep dive into this type of bonds. See here you can see what are their recourse type, what is causing to the issuer, then primary repayment sources are there, then what are the collaterals are there for these bonds, then what are the risk involved in these bonds, then type of the issuers, and finally the green differentiator. You can see the standard green use of proceed bonds. That is the full recourse to the issuer actually. And the repayment will be the issuer's entire balance sheet. It will all the source will be the issuer's balance sheet. It is normally unsecured. There is a indirect risk. This is for the corporates and sovereigns. Then green revenue bond. So here it is a non-recourse for the issuer,
In
right?
case of agreement, you need to have a sign from the client. I mean, from the opposite party.
Hello. Yeah. Then the repayment source is the cash flow. Where the bond is invested, that the cash flow. The collateral is the revenue stream, which is underlying this project. Then we have the green project bonds. That is also non-recourse type. The prepayment is the project's own revenue. What the revenue the project will generate, that is we can use for the repayment. Then what is the collateral for this? This is the complete project asset. Then the second last is secured green collateral. This is also non-recourse type. The cash flow will be from the pooled assets, and the collateral will be the assets of the green projects. The last one is the secured one. That is again the full recourse type. Then it is all again repayment source will be the issuer's entire balance sheet. Then collateral will be the fixed asset of the issuers. It is not related to the project. It is nothing related to the project. It is all the risk of issuer. The green bond has the four principle. How we are using the proceeds, the use of proceeds. The proceeds should be eligible for the green projects with a clear environmental benefit. That is to be mentioned in the documentation. Then the next step is the evaluation of the project. Issuer must clearly communicate the environmental objective, the project selection process, and how they are managing the environmental and social risk with this project. The next one is the reporting. The issuer should up-to-date information on how they are using the funding annually until the full allocation of the funding. Finally, how the funding is been managed. The net proceeds should be tracked in a formal internal process with periodic adjustment to match the allocation. Now you can see the case studies that is already been how these green bonds has been already been used in worldwide. The Hapag-Lloyd is a well-known company, German container line. They have invested $4 billion into their 24 LNG powered ship they have ordered. So this is their financing structure. $900 million they have from their own fund, then 500 million from the mortgage loan, then $1.8 billion through the leasing, then $1.1 billion through the syndicated loan by this China Export and Credit Insurance Corporation. You can see that how these bigger companies are combining their own fund, bank loan, leasing, and they're using the credit agency as well. Now we can take the example of the port of Valencia. How they are, what is their green initiatives? The port of Valencia also uses multiple funding. They have their own investment, then the investment from the Spanish government through their support port 4.0 funds. Then EU programs are there, connecting Europe Facility Horizon 2020. Then Interreg. What are their projects? The projects involves the focusing on the green technologies like hydrogen productions. Then green seaports, that is interconnecting the port through the digitalization, IoTs. Then what is the result of that? They can manage to, they have demonstrated growth and emission can go hand in hand. It is not like the growth will emit more CO2. We can balance that. This is the lesson which we can learn from the Port of Valencia. So what is the actions for the stakeholders? The port and port owners and authorities, they can develop the net zero plan, action plan. They can invest in onshore power facilities so that they can give power to the vessels. They can invest on the alternative fuel infrastructures like storages, pipelines, etc. What is it there for the ship operators and owners? They should define clear decarbonization strategies. They should invest in energy efficiency measures and evaluate the options of whether they should invest in new vessels, or they can, if the vessel average age is less, then they can think of retrofitting. What is there for the regulator and the policymakers? They can finalize the clear and ambitious GHG reduction measures. Design mechanism for equitable transition. Implement policies that supports green fuel production. What is there for the financer and investor? Develop expertise in maritime decarbonization. Integrate carbon alignment into the lending decisions. Successfully scaling up finances in maritime sector requires breaking down the traditional silos between this group and fostering the collaboration and coordination through initiatives like Green Shipping Corridor, public-private partnerships. So what all projects comes under these green projects? So you can see renewable energy projects, energy efficiency. If you are looking at some doing the energy efficiency, the pollution prevention, how do you are able to control or prevent the pollution? The sustainable management of natural resources, biodiversity conservation, the clean transportation, like zero emission, sustainable water management, climate change adaptation, the circular economy, and the green buildings. So we as a UNNIC LNG Consultancy Private Limited, so we are the trusted partner in the energy and maritime sector, dedicated to advancing cleaner, smarter fuel solution. With a team of 50 plus years of experience in LNG and alternate fuel, we empower industry to transition towards net zero emissions while maintaining the operational excellence. What we do? We provide end-to-end solution right from the feasibility to the operation, ensuring the safety, efficiency, and compliance. Our core services are alternative fuel feasibility and project studies, LNG bunkering operations, vessel LNG commissioning, regulatory compliances, risk assessments, training and technical support for LNG as well as other emerging fuels, EPC model for supervision of LNG vessel conversion to the FSU, FSRU, FLNG. We are into terminal management and operations. Feasibility and assessment of carbon capture solution. Why we do that? Our mission is to enable 1,000+ energy and maritime stakeholders to adapt sustainable fuel alternatives, leading the global decarbonization movement. By integrating innovative and strategic solutions, we help clients navigate the future energy future reasonably and profitably. Join us in shaping the cleaner and greener planet. So, Captain Shoukat, thank you for giving the opportunity.
Okay, so thank you, Manoj. Thank you for this very, very valuable discussion. We have 15 minutes left for the question answer. We are going to open this to the house now. So thank you everybody for joining in and listening patiently. And now you can please kindly put in your questions, any thoughts on this, anybody who can add value, who can. Okay, so we have already received one question from Deborshi Bharati. To everybody, very good afternoon. Let me just check the question. I'll read out. So, and Deborshi, you say this question is to Mr. Amratlal, and he's asking how will those stored carbon in liquid form be treated and used so that it will be beneficial for environment as well as the investors of storage facilities. Amratlal, if you got that question right.
Yes, yes. So, very wonderful question by Bharti. So, yes, the storage of CO2, of this liquid CO2, basically what the industry is planning, wherever the oil wells are there, which are completely dried up. So those oil wells they will be using as this as the storage of this liquid CO2 facility. Okay, and again, of course the risk assessment and the risk has to be mitigated so that the CO2 is not released or vented out. So this technology is still under process and under optimization, and yes, we are looking forward for this.
Okay,
So
I hope it answers that question. Any other thoughts on this? Kindly share your thoughts on the chat. We have 12 minutes for discussion, and with Manoj on green financing, on carbon captures, Amratlal is there. So yeah, it's been a valuable session. Amrit, meanwhile, as the questions coming in, and Manoj, I would like to come to you as the questions coming in. Why don't you tell us a bit more on UNNIC shipping and on UNNIC LNG solution? How was it founded? And what is it that you generally do at UNNIC?
So while sailing, during my sailing days with 16+ years of LNG experience, there is always a urge in me to do something for the environment and do something for the climate change. And my experience in LNG that would come helpful to the industry, and so that I can contribute my part in reducing the carbon emission in the atmosphere. So myself with my batchmates, we thought of giving sharing our experience to the industry. So this is the idea. On this idea, we form a UNNIC LNG solutions, UNNIC LNG consulting primacy. Then there is the verticals of UNNIC LNG solutions. We are working on a different kind of projects. We are working on the first of the LNG bunkering, which is going to happen in India. Shortly, it will happen in India. The project is on the documentation part, approval parts. Then we are working on building the LNG bunker vessel, LNG bunker barge in India. So we are also looking at LNG logistic. So as the day progresses, LNG stations are going to increase because for the heavy duty trucks, we don't have any option for CNG. We don't have option for we have option for batteries, but that will be too huge. Right. So there is all the heavy duty trucks will be slowly going for the LNG. The range is also very good. The range is 1200 kilometers. So this is really going to work.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Any other thoughts from the attending guests? We would like to go to the house for this. Okay, so I think Venu Madhan sir has a question, and he asks, who are the institutions currently funding ship owners on green funding? Yes, so Manoj, you would like to take this?
Yeah, sir, this for green funding, presently in India, very I didn't find anyone who is pushing for this. But in Europe, there is a market for this Luxembourg Stock Exchange who is into this. They have funded around 200 plus project. 200 plus project in for the green fund for the ship owners as well as the different kind of green projects. So I would like to share that. I would like to give my presentation also to the party to the attendees uh, as a token of appreciation for attending this session. And you can reach out to us. We have more information on that. How we can reach, where to go for. So presently, I will talk about only one thing, Luxembourg. In Luxembourg stocks exchange, you can on their website you can see the projects, what are projects are going on.
Okay, so yes, so you want to share the presentation for me to share the presentation with them?
Yes, please ask team to share the presentation.
Okay. I'm happy to do that. Okay, just one sec. Bhavik, can you share the presentation, please, on the chat? The PDF of the presentation. Shreya, can you just share it on the chat, please? The the PDF of the presentation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right. So, gentlemen and ladies, anything else? We are in time, and we have 8 minutes left. 7 minutes now for the completion. We at TNC always start in time and we finish in time. That's one of our commitments. And yes, Manoj has shared the presentation as a take back for all that he has said. It is a very, very valuable presentation for startups, and being an entrepreneur myself to some extent. And I'm always looking for avenues to raise funds, investment for new ventures. I think when the world is going green, it's already gone green to most number of things, but a lot of work is remaining in the next few years to come. IMO is also doing a lot of work on the green projects. And while we have new builds, all the new builds are concentrating their buildings on fuel economy, new fuels. And we as we speak, we already have hydrogen powered vessels on the water. We already have methane. IMO is promoting the other fuels as well. And yes, so both the presentations now, Amrit's as well as Manoj, is
I
now
said that
shared.
I send this LGSL Luxembourg, the thing I am talking about. I send that data bank. So
Okay, very good.
Mr. Venu
Excellent.
Madhav, Mr. Venu Madhav, it will be really helpful for to you.
Excellent, gentlemen and ladies. I would like to share the UNNIC, like you said, like I said before, UNNIC Shipping is a startup on LNG solutions, and I would like to share this with you. And one more time, just hold on. Sharing their the social media. TNC Socials is the media managers for UNNIC LNG Solutions. I would like all of you to spend some time and scan these codes and follow them on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and you'll get much more every day. A lot of stories on what's going around in the world on green financing, not only green financing, on carbon captures, on environmental protection, and we can engage in very fruitful discussion and on social media. So they are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Please share this screenshot. You can take a screenshot and share this to all your friends and colleagues. And we look forward to hosting you on our social media channels as well. And Right. So we have 5 minutes left. I'm waiting for any questions. Any questions? Any more thoughts? Anybody wants to share anything on anybody's worked on green financing? Anybody's working with any financial institutions? Anybody is doing any great work on carbon captures? Kindly share your thoughts here. We have 5 minutes more, and we will be after this session. We'll be sharing the full recording of this full webinar on our social media channels as well. So you can share it. That one you can share it with your friends and family. But meanwhile, I will. Anybody else, please share the YouTube link as well for this webinar. Uh, yes, sir, Satish sir. We are live as we speak on YouTube. And Bhavik, can you just share the YouTube link on the chat, please? Just share the YouTube. Okay, question. We have another question again from Devashi Bharti. Question for Mr. Amratlal. What if the emitted CO2 storage tank will get full during a voyage and we don't get the reception facilities on next calling port? What will be the action to counter this CO2 storing issue?
Okay, so yes, once again, thanks Bharti for asking that question. So as I said that yet the regulatory framework is not been finalized for the onboard carbon capture system. So the system is still under the trial phase. And the pilot projects are on and these pilot projects are implemented only where the CO2 facility or as a sewer reception facility is available. So I hope in future, as a mitigation of this, so in case if the CO2 storage tank is getting full, as you said, as you're thinking very proactively on this, so maybe the onboard carbon capture system can be bypassed, and straight away the exhaust can be released into the atmosphere, where the owner has to pay the penalty for the carbon emission into the atmosphere. So that is what I think, or in my opinion, that could be a way or a procedure if your CO2 tanks are getting full. It is same like the SOx scrubbers. Okay, the scrubbers which have been installed on the vessels, what if the scrubber is not functioning? Of course, you have to bypass. The vessel cannot stop. The only thing is that you have to inform the regulatory administration and classification society that your system is bypassed, and on the very next port of call, you will be repairing that or trying to fix that. Okay, so that is my answer to Bharti.
Bharati, thank you for asking these questions, and thank you, Amritlal, for your answers. And anybody else? Any thoughts on this webinar? We have 2 minutes to go before we break. 1 o'clock is our ending time, and we don't want to surpass that. So anybody else wants to talk about carbon capture? Any thoughts on your green financing? How many of you are going to go from this webinar into building new LNG vessels? We would like to know that. And else? Right. So if nothing else, then gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for participating and being a part of this webinar. We'll be sharing the link of this webinar on our social media channels. And also thank you for engaging with the speakers. I'm sure this will going to add a little bit value. As I speak, my team has just put the Instagram and the Facebook and the LinkedIn links of the UNNIC LNG solutions. Please click on them, become members so that you can engage and participate and also add value to us and yourselves for this carbon captures of the industry and help making our planet a bit more greener than it is already, right? Thanks for your knowledge sharing. Thank you. And I appreciate that you've taken time out on this working day to come here and spend time with it. Special thank you to our speakers, Manoj Chaudhari and Amrit. Thank you, Amrit, for your discussions here, and really a truly valuable thing. And sometimes some things I learned myself and I've never heard before. Some things were very unique, and like I said, the pun intended, it was indeed a unique workshop, both as well as traditionally different, like unique, and the name unique of your company. So thank you, and yes, thank you. And so now it's 1 o'clock and we end here saying have a great weekend, all of you. Enjoy and let us
Thank
all
you.
make the whole world greener.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, team.
You all.
Yes.
Thank you to our TNC Socials team for being a part of this and handling the back end.